stuff grew wild in our yard back home, so we never give it much thought. We guessed it's weeds or some kind of flowers, we didn't know what it was called. Then one day I was standing there talking, reached down for a weed to chew on. Things got fuzzy, and then they got blurred, and then everybody was gone. When I come to, my brother was there, and he asked me what is wrong with my eyes. I told him there's glassy from chewing them weeds. He figured he'd give it a try. Spent the rest of the day and all that night just looking for my brother Bill. Then we seen him sitting there singing on top of the windmill. Next day we picked a big bunch of them weeds and put them in the sun to dry. Then we cleaned them, mashed them up, smoked them in a corncob pie. We noticed something missing from the yard one day, knew somebody had been in our crop, but somebody who never smiled at all. Paul was sure giggling a lot. Well, it wasn't long till the word got round. People was coming from Mars. They always got there griping and tired, but when they left, there's all smiles. It is real easy to find our place. All you had to do is follow the smoke. 50 miles, any direction, never met such friendly, happy folks. Of course, all good things gotta come to an end. It is the same with our weeds. Some guy from Washington dropped by one day. He turned white as a sheet. Well, he burned and dug and dug and burned. He killed all our cute little weeds, drove away. We just smiled and waited, sitting there on that sack of seeds.
Myself some breakfast food and then rushed home with glee. I poured it all out on the floor to see what I got free. Be the first kid in your block to rule the world, young man. Then I seen it lying there, a set of A-bomb plans.
Would you believe what they're putting in breakfast food today?
I hang the prices on the wall and then I throw the cereal away. I come home very late last night. I woke up half asleep. I stumbled in the kitchen to get a bite to eat. I felt a lump go down my throat. Oh, there was such pain. I never been so happy. A yo-yo had a string. Brother bought some breakfast food. It held a priceless ring. It glowed and had a secret code. Turned his finger green. It had a secret hiding place, but I was not convinced. He crawled inside to prove me wrong, and I ain't seen him since.
Would you believe what they're putting in breakfast food these days?
Hang the prizes on the wall, then throw the cereal away. Airplanes, yo-yos, hand grenades, a whistle for your pocket. Last week I even bit the nose cone off an Atlas rocket. Baseball cards of all the teams that show which ones are best. But Yogi Berra in my shredded wheat's a little more than I can digest.
Would you believe what they're putting in breakfast food these days?
I hang the prizes on the wall, throw the cereal away.
most the prettiest song in the world about this boy that loved this girl. They fell in love and all that stuff, but somehow that just wasn't enough. Because when I took it to RCA, they listened a minute and then I heard them say, "That'll never sell records." Mighty pretty though, but that serious stuff, it ain't selling this year. Write it over and then let us hear. And them happy Indians just gotta go. Back to the drawing board I went, find more trouble them kids get in. They decided to run off somewhere and wed. The parents wanted them to wait instead. But they eloped, found the justice of peace. They was saying "I do" and then walked the police. They was underage, so they told a lie. The preacher, he had a grabber and died. Kids are taken back home to stay, and I took my song back to RCA. That'll never sell records. Mighty pretty though, but that serious stuff, it ain't selling this year. Write it over and then let us hear. And them happy Indians just gotta go. I was beginning to wonder if I could write a hit. Thought I'd try once more before I quit. This boy and girl, they met in the bar, had a few drinks and then stole a car. Didn't like each other, they sure weren't in love, but they sure weren't married when they sobered up. So they got a divorce. On the way back, when the car stopped dead on the railroad tracks, it was freezing cold and he held her tighter. Burned her arm on the cigarette lighter. Temperature dropped to 40 below. Train is coming with the final blow. Looked like the end of a perfect day, so I took my song back to RCA. Now that'll sell records. 4 million or so. See, that serious stuff ain't selling this year. This true love junk's what they wanna hear, and them happy Indians just gotta go. Moving awful slow. Just ain't cutting it this year. That hearts and flowers stuff. If somebody don't get it, I reckon ain't gonna stay.
Vacation rolls around and you leave the old hometown. Hollywood's the place you ought to go.
But you may think you've seen it all, but you haven't seen anything at all until you've seen those way out Hollywood clothes.
You may have been from coast to coast, but you haven't seen nothing till you've seen those Hollywood clothes.
Hi-ho, folks fans. It's me, the world's best dressed creature. Up and down the coast, I'm the most. Listen, isn't this suit just too much? Look how this little old tiny coat just squeezes my massive little chest. Isn't that Scooby-Dooish? Of course, it's a little embarrassing sometimes. A lot of people think I'm a bellhop. Another guy tried to get me to park his car. When I refused, he almost did me bodily harm. That was the day I was wearing my sequin-studded sweatshirt and gold pants, Cap Midnight beanie, and chartreuse U.S. Army paratrooper boots.
You may have been from coast to coast, but you haven't seen nothing till you've seen those Hollywood clothes. There among the big palm trees, there's a million things to see, but the one that seems to stand out most.
The cool cats with their fancy cars, you can bet that they really are dressed up in the finest Hollywood clothes.
You may have been from coast to coast, but you haven't seen nothing till you've seen those Hollywood clothes.
Hi-ho! I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. It's me again. The world's 10 best-dressed men all rolled up into one gorgeous little ball. Like these shoes? They're made out of genuine French poodle hair with brightly colored Christmas bells. Straps and buckles are from an old trigger bridle, and the little pointy toes are shaped like tiny little sports cars. Isn't that groovy? My itsy-bitsy thin necktie is made from a hummingbird tongue. And my luminous socks are trimmed with tiny neon lights spelling out such hip words as keen and neat and Scooby. Don't look at me too long. You'll swoon.
You may have been from coast to coast, but you haven't seen nothing till you've seen those Hollywood clothes.
Isn't that amazing? People pass me on the street and they say, "What was that?" And it was me all the time. They thought it was a Christmas tree just walking off down the street there. It was me, carrying the pedestrian.
Anytime you need a singer, anytime you need a song, anytime you won't get, I'll be glad, so glad to sing along. Ain't got no beard, ain't got no chorus. Ain't my fault, I got no choice. What I got is more important. What I got is this here lovely voice. Dear friends, is there someone that you want sung to? But all you've got to do is just give me a call. And did you know that for just $2 extra? Oh, listen, I'd be happy to play along with my International Harvester guitar. I'll admit, I ain't no Elvis, and I may miss a high note or two, but anytime you're blue and need a life or two, I'll be glad to sing a song for you. Don't sing off key, and you can join in too.
He got into the wrong house again last night. And surely did give everyone a fright. But on his block, all the houses look alike. And he got into the wrong house again last night.
I bought myself a house here a few months back, and it's a darling little house, that's a fact, but there's 37 others there, just exact, and I got in the wrong house again last night. My neighbor has got this little dog about 2 feet high. It's a cute little dog, a little small dog, wouldn't hurt a fly. Well, I stumbled in their house by mistake this morning about 5, and that cute little stupid dog nearly ate me alive. I came in last night and I felt like I had 2 heads, and I was sneaking in the house when I heard this sweet voice say, "Bill, darling, why don't you put out the cat and come on to bed?" Which shook me pretty good, because my name's Fred. Not that underwhelm you? I decided I better try the next house in line, and I was skipping tippy-toe across the lawn at double time.
Have you ever been hit in the throat with a dirty clothesline? By the way, if you should find a set of teeth out there, they're mine, my teeth. I went up to the next house and rang the bell, and this man, about 8 feet tall, answered the door and said, "What the?" And I said, "Well, I was just passing by, kind of in the area, and I thought I might just visit a spell." But he wasn't too neighborly. He threw me out the back door and called me some names. So I went to sleep in the next house I saw because it looked the same. I woke up this morning in a doghouse and my head was just pain. And there was some silly kid looking in the door yelling, "Gravy train."
You got into the wrong house again last night. And surely did give everyone what's right. But on his block, all the houses look alike. And he got into the wrong house again last night.
I slept last night for the first time in a week. I got on this train and just passed out in a seat. Boy, I tell you, that's the last Alfalfa Balers convention I'll ever attend. I was heading back home, all tired and broke. But hark, this morning when I woke, I looked out the window and I knew I was somewhere I never had been. Oh, bad words and dirty names. Myself is on the wrong train, and my house is 500 miles the other way. Actually, I guess I really shouldn't complain, just, because I'm on the wrong train. At least I'm only 500 miles from home. Boy, wouldn't it have been a kick in the head if last night I'd have staggered onto one of them jets? Do you realize I could have woke up this morning in Rome? How about that? I got off at a watering stop. I seen this guy kind of resting there on this rock. I told him my sad story, and I asked him what he thought I ought to do. But, well, he wasn't a bit of help, because he introduced himself. He said, "My name's Bear. Buddy, I know what you're going through." Bad words and dirty names. Myself is on the wrong train, and my house is 500 miles the other way. I done come 500 miles the wrong way.
Nobody knows where he came from. They don't know how he got in.
But Master won't forget the day that he walked right into RCA
With a guitar and a grin.
Hey there, Chid Akins. Would you make me a star? Oh, I tell you, I am something else with this guitar. Really. I mean, listen, you don't know what you're missing. Just listen. I mean, just listen to this. Ain't that fierce? Ain't that intense?
The crowd began together to watch the fun begin. With his cowboy boots and his coveralls, his one-way ticket from Cedar Falls, that big guitar and a grin.
Hey there, Chit Akins. Would you make me a star? I mean, me being such a gas with this guitar. Listen, would you believe I ain't even got your correspondence course yet? That's hard to believe, ain't it? It's true. Never had a lesson. Never. And just listen. Just listen here.
Everybody seemed to like him, so the company took him in. Background music is all he plays. He's on all them records from RCA. With his guitar and his friend.
Hey, Chit Akins. How come it is I never get to play by myself, huh? I mean, you get to play by yourself. How come I don't never get to play with some of them big symphonies like you do, huh? How come, Chet? How about when the swelling goes down in my fingers? Then can I? Huh, Chet? Listen, I do not hurt anymore since I made up my mind to lose weight. 'Cause I tell you, I went to see my neighborhood doctor, and he gave me some of these funny little pills to take. They come in these clear plastic capsules, you know, and it looks like little BBs just rolling around inside. And every time one of them little BBs explodes, boy, my eyes get so glassy and my mouth gets so dry. Everybody's just having a ball. They'll eat anything at all, you know, if it'll help them gain a little weight. Well, they'll gain about 40 pounds or so, and off to the doctor they go. Get some of them crazy little pills to take. I do not hurt anywhere. I'm just so happy, feeling no pain. You know, I flew all the way to Lost Wages today, and I didn't even have a plane. They say that there's a lot that I miss, and that's true, I guess, 'cause there's times that I don't even know my closest friends. On Monday, I was hard. Well, they called today and said I was fired. I wasn't mad. I just stood there and grinned. I'm just as fat as I ever was. But I keep giving it the old college try, boy. Them little pills, they ain't doing me no good at all. But listen, man, the days just fly.
Oh, he never did finish that song.
Their parents would never let them marry, 'cause she came from the wrong side of town. In a final embrace, you could see them standing there on the ledge, looking down. They vowed they would always be together, and that neither would ever love again. So holding each other so tightly, they kissed, And then the telephone rang. I broke a guitar string, and a friend with a bottle came along. We both got a little high, started telling lies. I never did finish that song. Really, never did finish that song. Johnny was the pride of the beach. All the surfer girls knew him on sight. It seemed like everything was going his way till that dark and fateful night. He swam out to where the big breakers were and started to ride the waves in. For the first time, he noticed the ship in his path. He waved to the crowd, and then the stove blew up. This big, huge Mack truck came crashing right through my chartreuse wall. The clock struck 10, and the whole roof caved in. I never did finish that song. Really, never did finish that song.
Old Jed was a faithful, hard man. For years he plowed the old farm with the wrinkles of time etched in his face and a hula girl etched on his arm. But old age had made Jed careless, and his years finally came to an end. He walked behind a mule that he thought was tame. The mule took aim, and then the sky got black, the windows cracked, and a big tornado come along. Boy, the whole house rocked, and the landlord knocked. I never did finish that song. I never did finish that song. I promised myself when I started this song that I'd write it all the way to the end, but I never did. Just because I wrote some old love letters, and just because I said a sweet thing or two, now while I may have made a few wild promises, I don't recall ever saying I'd marry you. Just because I may have said I love you, and just because we kind of carried on. I had a fever at the time, must have been talking out of my mind. If you look the other way, hot lips, I'm gone. Just because I sent you flowers and candy, and just because I bought you a diamond ring, did I really say there'd never be no other? Well, I'm the biggest liar the world has ever seen. Just because I paid off all your bar bills, got you out of jail a time or two, well, that hardly seems enough reason for me to join up with the Foreign Legion. So why do your lawyers keep bugging me like they do? Just because you call me sugar daddy. Now, just because I took you every place, I didn't mean for you to get the wrong impression. I did it all in a bit of bad taste. Now, just because you've seen me out with another, I bet you think I tried to lead you on. Well, honey, just close your eyes. Don't be a bit surprised when you open them up again and find me gone. Honey, darling, don't look now, but your sugar daddy is cutting out.
Come and sit by the fire, friends, and listen. There's a story I must tell to you about a car hop named Red River Sally, and this cowboy that tore her heart in two. day Sal was inside at the counter, someone spoke, and when she turned around, she was looking into a belt buckle. And this cowboy just stood there looking down. From that day they were always together, and Sal thought her true love had been found. She stood right in the bullpen and cheered him every night the rodeo was in town. Then the cowboy asked Sal if she would marry, and she loved him too much to refuse. Sally said that she would always remember the kind and sweet words that darling boy used. So the cowboy and the car hop was married, and they cut out on a week's honeymoon. Poor old Sally, she didn't have no way at all of knowing that the cowboy was gonna tear her heart in two. Sal was happy she'd married the cowboy. She thought she'd found someone she could look up to. When she learned the awful truth, she couldn't face him, 'cause without his boots he is only 5'2". So if you fall for a tall, handsome stranger and you think that he's just right for you, just remember old Red River Sally and the cowboy that tore her heart in two.
Dear Harlan Howard, will you write me a hit? Don't you know that I could sing the far right out of it? You've written songs for every star in Nashville, Tennessee. So how's about it, Harlan? Would you write a hit for me? Now, I can come to Nashville if you'll just send me the fire. Boy, if me and you get together, oh, we'll tear 'em up down there. I loved Heartaches by the Number, and Busted impressed me so much, I painted your name in big red letters across the side of my pickup truck. Boy, the way you write and the way I sing, no telling how far we could go. Be smoking cigars and driving big cars, probably be on the Jimmy Dean show. Dear Harlan Howard, will you write me a hit? Don't you know that I can sing the far right out of it? You've written songs for every star in Nashville, Tennessee. So how's about it, Harlan? Would you write a hit for me? Now, wouldn't want you to be ashamed of me when you show me around Nashville. So I got a few things down at Monkey Ward's and said, just send old Harlan a bill. Bought me a bright green cowboy shirt and a pair of leopard skin boots. And you won't believe them rhinestones that Mother sewed on my suits. I met Roger Miller here a while back and sang him a song or two. He said, you just write old Harlan. He said it was the least he could do. He said he owed you something, Harlan. So he's sending me. Ain't that a blast? You write 'em and I'll sing 'em. I got a tiger by the tail, it's plain to see. Boy, I wish you could give that song to me instead of Buck Owens. I don't like it. Found him in the gutter with a gash in his head.
Thought he was dead, but he is alive instead. He is playing his drums, and the country music fan snuck up behind with a brick in his hand. Cut looked bad, so I combed down his hair. That night I created there Ringo. The wound healed fast, I'm proud to say. Liked his hair combed down that way. Had to be cut just a little in front. He kept swinging, missing, falling through his drums. Liked it so well he found 3 other guys wore their hair all down in their eyes like Ringo. Together they created a brand new sound. Made girls faint and parents leave town. Tried not to like the music they played. Locked myself in my room for days. Hung Beatle pictures all over my wall. Stopped getting my hair cut. Let it grow long like Ringo's. Symptoms is there. Knew I was hooked. Ran out and bought all their albums I could. Anybody asked, I denied it of course. But I sang along until I was hoarse. It is no use, I can tell I'm sick. I'm a Beatle addict. I need to fix some Ringo.
Won't you please, please help?
I guarded my secret the best I could, but tragedy struck like I knew it would. Word leaked out all over town. My leader, Chet Akins, had finally found out. They took away my picks and hung up my guitar. Now I guess I'll never be a star like Ringo. They say I can go home in a month or 2. The cure's working fine, but my career's all through. Cut down to just 2 Beatle records a day and nearly stopped saying yay, yay, yay. But there's not much demand, should have known all along. For a cowboy singer with hair this long, like Ringo's. Heard about the bomb that you planted in the car. The guy from the service station just called. Why, he was hysterical and screaming something about losing 2 gas pumps, a grease rack, and a wall. I don't suppose you'd know anything about the live wires under the wet bath mat. I stepped over them, but I'm afraid it's bad news about your poor old Siamese cat. The landmine in the driveway was for me, I guess. Too bad the milkman didn't know that. And it is real sweet of you to throw me my electric guitar. Wish you hadn't waited till I was taking a bath. That camouflaged hole you had dug in the front yard was real clever, I'll have to admit it. If you wondered why the mail stopped running lately, it's 'cause the postman is still down there in it. I'm beginning to think you don't love me no more. And after last week, there shouldn't be any doubt. I walk in and, Howard, what have you done? But built a petition through the middle of the house. We only been married about 3 weeks today, and already it's over, I guess it's finished. Actually, what cinched it was me coming home and finding my half of the house had been rented. I can't stop you from loving him, but as your sister, I am entitled to my views. We've both been old maids long enough that we should know that all men are actually pretty bad news. Oh, I can't stop you from loving that boy. But dear sister, come on, it's just not our way. Why, good heavens, Sonny Gun, we've never even allowed the old tomcat to go outside and run and play. Dear friends, her sister kept pleading as the romance grew. So at the wedding she said, "Dear sister, I think I better talk to you. All men are no good, and you'll find that out too soon. Boy, you'll learn your lesson on your very honeymoon." Oh, friends, it gets sad. They was married, and they did cut out, leaving the old maid behind to cry for days. But then hark, alas, a telegram came from the bride and groom far away. She's coming home, the sister thought, and she was joyful and began to leap gazelle-like over the furniture and about. But the message, only 5 words long. It said, "Dear sister, let that poor cat out." Always wanted to be a cowboy singer, 'cause I figured that had to be the life. Just traveling around the country singing cowboy songs, but boy was I in for a surprise. I've run into problems that up until now I never even thought could exist. But everybody tells me when things go wrong, just laugh and say that's showbiz. I walked on stage, a new electric guitar, and accidentally plugged it in the wrong place. They opened the curtain and I flipped the switch, and that thing blowed me plumb off the stage. I wrote a little song and I thought it was great. Mother said it's a whiz. Well, I took it to the man, he throwed it in a can, but I guess that's showbiz. Them airlines people say they're awful sorry. They don't know who was at fault. But somehow my guitar wound up in Dallas and my band ended up in St. Paul. I bought myself a new blue suit, but that spotlight being bright like it is, well, I stood on stage and watched my new suit fade, but like they say, that's showbiz. Every time I leave town, I call the weather bureau. Partly cloudy is what they always say. Well, I'm up to my guess what, partly cloudy, and some clown just passed me in a sleigh. Of course, when you play a guitar like I do, can't expect too much, I guess. So I hope for the best, and taxes get the rest, but I guess that's showbiz.
My daddy was a truck driver, big and strong. He was hoping for a son. Then I came along. He said, "My boy will grow up to be a truck driving man." Well, I grew up, and here I am.
He's the fastest thing alive. He puts that truck in overdrive. The safest thing for
Little diesel driving devil. Stand back. Get you right in the center line. I got the biggest, prettiest truck on the road. The grill and the bumpers are 12-karat gold. Blue sidewall tires and spoked hubcaps, twin radio aerials and pink mud flaps. When people see me coming, boy, they get off the road. Take one look, they don't even want close. From the front and the back, there's big neon lights flash on and off and say, dynamite. Little diesel driving devil. Hey. Everybody in the ditch. This little old lady was stopped for a light, so I sneaked up close until our bumpers were tight. I let all 5 of them big air horns roar. Bless her heart, blew her through the top of the car. On a long haul in this truck of mine, I got in the middle of the road and just follow that line. Never waste time counting sheep. I just open that throttle up and go to sleep. That's right. Little diesel driving devil. Scare you to death. Highway patrol won't touch me unless they're in groups. Hey.
May I recommend the perfect solution? Do what I do. Drink. And once you start, don't ever stop. That way you will completely eliminate hangovers. If you are a beginner, may I suggest a peachy keen you drink, beginning with a bucket full of gin and orange juice. Add about a half pint of milk of magnesia, called a Phillips screwdriver. It'll do wonders for your head. Why not put a little fun in your life and go somewhere and get plowed? If I had my life to live over, I would live it over a brewery. For those of you who are unaware of same, we are currently in the middle of National Tavern Week. Strangely enough, it is also Be Kind to Animals Week, so why not celebrate both at the same time by taking your dog to a bar and getting him severely smashed out of his head? Why not find yourself a little bar somewhere and get totally stoned? Look at the world through bourbon-colored glasses. Don't worry about nothing, because everything's going to turn out wrong. For instance, last week a reporter asked a high-ranking government official what we would do if this country were drawn into a full-scale war. He looked out from under the table and said, well, the first thing to do is form the wagons into a large circle. But while you're waiting, you might as well take out a few weeks and get gassed. Actually, I drink only for medicinal purposes. I get violently sick if I don't get a drink every 6 or 9 minutes.
When you left last night, you left more than me.
I got up this morning, and as I was leaving my room, I stepped on 12 hair rollers and tripped over the broom. I tried to shave and sort of look my best, but you turned the mirror all yeller with that bloody hairspray test. Boy, you must have been in a hurry when you left last night, because the house is just full of junk you left behind. There's makeup creams and dander shampoos and a couple of false eyelashes and a couple of other things too. I figured I'd clean up the place, you know, before I left for the day. Figured I'd burn all your stuff since you'd gone away. I don't know whether you know it or not, but them dang hairspray cans blow up when they get hot. Boy, it's weird. Them cans blew makeup all over the walls, and there's big red streaks of nail polish clear out there in the hall. Remember that glass door on the oven that you could see through? Well, the refrigerator door matches now because you can see through it too. That there doctor that operated says what I need most is rest. He removed a couple of tubes of raspberry lipstick from my chest. He told me to just stand around for the next couple of days. See, there's this can of spot remover caught me going the other way. They released me from the hospital, and now I'm back home, but it's a pretty lonely place, you know, you being gone. But I'll never forget you, 'cause when them cans went off, they blew memories of you just all over the walls. I got a letter just this morning. It is postmarked Omaha. It is typed and neatly wrote out, offering me this better job with higher wages, expenses paid, and a car. But I'm on TV here locally, and I can't quit. Heck for, I'm a star. I come on the television a grinning, wearing pistols and a hat. It's a kiddie show. I'm a hero of the younger set. I'm the #1 attraction. Every supermarket parking lot. I'm the king of Kansas City. No thanks, Omaha, thanks a lot. Kansas City store, that's what I are. Yodeling lady, y'all just see my car. Drive a big old Cadillac with wire wheels and rhinestones in the spokes. Got credit down at the grocery store, and my barber tells me jokes. I'm the #1 attraction. Every supermarket parking lot. I'm the king of Kansas City. No thanks, Omaha, thanks a lot. Little kids see me around town, they just marvel. Kansas City star, that's what I are. Yodeling lady, y'all just see my car. Got a big old Cadillac, wire wheels, and rhinestones on the spokes. Got credit down at the grocery store, and my barber tells me jokes. I'm the #1 attraction. Every supermarket parking lot. I'm the king of Kansas City. No thanks, Omaha, thanks a lot. The hardware store is having a sale one day, so I stopped by to kind of investigate. Had their power mowers all marked way down, so I checked them all over till I finally found the one that I liked the best. Great big, mean, hairy-looking thing. That salesman told me when I bought it, he said, "Don't ever turn your back on it, fella. That thing's alive. Alive." I guess I should have listened to him. Now everybody calls me Freddy Four Toes. They laugh and point and say, "Hey, there he goes." Boy, it didn't take long for some of me to find out. Grass ain't all that big power mower mows. It said right there in the big guarantee that it'd chop down grass or redwood trees. It said there ain't nothing this machine can't fall, from a charging rhinoceros to a mad rabid dog. try to make friends with it. Ain't that a kick? Salesman said we nicknamed it the foot grabber. Whatever you do, don't turn your back on it. That thing's a killer, a killer. And I thought he was putting me on. Well, I turned on the starter and pulled the cord, and that power mower tore out across my yard. Where the flower bed was, there's a 6-foot hole. Chopped down the front porch and a telephone pole. It got the barbecue pit and my neighbor's picket fence. I run in the house and called civil defense. When I come back out, the thing turned on me, took a bite out of my foot and chased me up a tree. National Guard finally made the scene. Took 2 hours and a bazooka to kill that machine. Talk to it. You believe that? Don't turn your back on it. Listen, that thing's alive, alive. And I thought that salesman was putting me on. But now everybody calls me Freddy Four Toes. They laugh and point and say, hey, there he goes. Boy, it sure didn't take long for myself to find out. Grace ain't all that big power mower mows. I mean, listen, grass ain't the only thing that big old power mower cuts up. Level everything in a 100-mile radius.
I wanna go home. I just wanna go home.
The last time I was down in East Texas, my car broke and I had to fly. Well, the only one left with a plane leaving that day was an outfit called Boll Weevil Airlines. Ticket only cost me $3. That's when I got the feeling something wasn't right. I really got suspicious when the ticket agent told me for just $2 more I could sit inside. Didn't take long for me to figure out that this sure wasn't a champagne flight. For instance, when I noticed it said stand by to jump, where they usually have a no smoking sign.
I wanna go home. I just wanna go home.
And then this captain got on that little walkie-talkie. He said, good afternoon, welcome to flight. Well, it don't really matter that much, because if you're on the wrong plane, it's too late now. We'll be flying about, anywhere 50, 65 feet because of the broken windows. If you need anything, there's 2 buttons on the arm of your chair. One of them signals the host eye, pats your possum lips, and the other jacks you through the roof of the plane. I forget which is which, but if you're wrong the first time, you won't get another shot at it. No smoking because of the gasoline leak. Thanks for flying. Good luck.
I wanna go home. I just wanna go home.
I guess that steward I noticed my pale condition. She tried to assure me there weren't no danger. That made me feel better, so I sit back and relax. Took out a cigarette and lit up a finger. Boy, I never been so happy in all my life as I was when that plane finally come to a stop. The stewardess said, please return the magazines to the rack. We just crashed through the airport coffee shop.
I wanna go home. I just wanna go home.
And that pilot was one of them fun people. Got on the plane and yelled, bonsai. That's what the seat belts is for, so nobody could get off. Prater and me was to marry, but now that's all in the past. I thought that she was following me real close behind, but I guess I drove too fast. Dear hearts, I lost Prater on the freeway. Now I guess she'll never, ever, never, never be my bride. thing. I seen her twice today, just logging off the other way with that wild, fierce look of panic in her eyes. Bless her heart, she drove all the way here from Texas. And I went out there and met her at the edge of town. I was gonna lead her right into our brand new house, but I'd gone out and purchased for no money down. It's one of them GI collapsible things. We was just driving along so happy, and hark, it happened right there before my eyes. Bless her heart, she pulled up there to throw me a kiss. And that lane that she was in just sort of veered off to the right there. Oh, I tell you, she's cutting out the other way. Had that fierce look of panic in her eyes. Fans, if I live to be 105-year-old, I'll always remember poor old Frida's fierce look of surprise as she just sort of disappeared, you know, quickly, just down the ramp, and slowly she just waved bye-bye, Don. Now it is, I just ride all day in the city, and I wave when Frida goes by, say, hey, Frida. Actually, there's never been such a driving love. I mean, since the very beginning of time. Oh, man. I lost my darling right out there on the freeway. Misplaced her. Now, she'll never be my bride. Seen her 2 different times today. Just cutting out the other way with that wild, hairy look of panic in her eyes.
You know how... Folks, you know, Hollywood gave us Charles Boyer, the great lover. Memphis gave us Elvis Presley, loved by millions of teenagers. But we give you a man only a mother could love, if she tried very hard. And here he is, the Duke of Paducah.
I tell you, I thought I'd read my hometown newspaper tonight, where I find more jokes in the newspaper than I do in joke books or than I do from people. There's quite a few articles here about the traffic. You know, I never thought about it, but them little cars is getting worse than the big ones. They're like cockroaches after you all the time, you know. No kidding. Today, downtown, one of them little old cars hit me and knocked me down, and while I was laying there, another one run up my pants leg. It's a good thing he made a left turn, you know. I tell you. I see an article here that says 25% of all American men propose marriage to their wife in an automobile. That's what I just got through telling you. There's more accidents happen in cars than any other way. Here's an article here in the paper that says the archaeologists, that them fellers dig up them buried cities, they found the skull of a woman 20,000 years old. The average person just reads that and lets it go. I figured out how they knew it was a woman's skull. The jaws were still moving. Goodlettsville, Tennessee, 19-year-old blonde stenographer sues man 85 years old for breach of promise. How about that, huh? Now, just tell me what in the hell could he have promised her at 85, will you? Here's a cute story about a baby duck and a mother duck. You know, spring, and they were flying back north, and a jet went by them, zoom, like that. And this baby duck said to the mama duck, now that's what I call speed. And the mama duck said, yeah? Well, if you had 4 rear ends and they was all on fire, you'd fly fast too.
And now here again is the star of our show, the Bard of Bull's Gap, Archie Campbell.
Thank you, Ralph. You said it just like I told you to say it, almost. You left out part of it. Dad blame you. You ought to go to Hollywood, boy. The walk would do you good. Certainly tickled to death to be here this evening in this great temple of mirth and to see so many
South might not always be right, but I God, we ain't never wrong.
But I'd like to get to know you. Yes, I would. But I'd like to get to know you. If I could. But I'd like to get to know you. Finally, I found searching all around just was not the answer. What I thought was true looked a bit like you. I figured I might chance her. try my cherry pie? How would you like a cherry pie? When you're alone up in the sky, you're feeling all up but you don't know why. Give it a try, my cherry pie.
We're listening to WHLO Akron, the only station big enough to serve Akron, Canton.
Akron, Canton, Massillon, Trapani.
There, Georgie girl, swinging down the street so fancy-free. Nobody you meet could ever see the loneliness there inside you. Hey there, Georgie girl, why do all the boys just pass you by? Could it be you just don't try, or is it the clothes you wear? You're always window shopping, but never stopping to buy. So shed those dowdy feathers and fly a little bit. Hey there, Georgie. tobacco road.
Sure he was an Indian. Sitting down there beating on his drum. They're the only true Americans. The Indians. Bless their hearts. Hallelujah. Our American Indians. Oh, don't it give you strength to know what Sitting Bull did to Custer? He is a smart aleck. Man, Sitting Bull said, "Get him, Junior and Willie." Whap! Man, that was that. Sent his saddle home. Well, they gave him a haircut. Friends, Indians still can't vote. They ain't got no candidate running. This old boy was up there in Chicago, and so he had left down home, you know, and he got up there, and he got into some kind of a business known as a number. See? And they say that that's illegal, but I believe we ought to make everything legal, then we wouldn't have no crime.
That's what you call a profound statement, you see. And this old boy was making all this money, but he couldn't write to his friend down home and tell him what he was doing, you know, because they're inspecting the mail now, you know. I mean, they're investigating everything. But wait a minute. He looked around there in his serene stroke, and he wrote this letter to his friend down home, and he said, hey, man. He said, man, there's so much money in Chicago, it's falling off the tree. His friend wrote him a postcard back and said, send me some. He sent him $200 or $300, and he went out and got his head all tore up, you know, got himself some moon pies and RCs, you know, and everything, just flipped, man, spent all his money, created inflation there in a certain section. He jumped on the bus and get on up to Chicago, you know, and he's thinking about the money falling off the tree. And he's walking along that stone broke, ain't got a dime. Ain't got a dime. And he's walking along there, and all of a sudden, he passes underneath this tree, and he sees himself a $50 bill. He look at it just as serious, and he said, I'll pick you up tomorrow. I ain't gonna work on my first day in Chicago. But it don't make no difference. It's all in how you think about it and all in how you study it.
James Lewis, get away from that wheelbarrow. Say, you know you doesn't know nothing about machinery.
Flipping on top of the world, I'm rolling along, climbing a wall. I'm quitting all of the blues of the world. I'm rolling along, singing a song. Glory, hallelujah, I just called our Sonny Parr, get ready to call. Like Humpty Dumpty, joy to the world. Sitting, rocking, flipping on top of the world. I'm rolling along, rolling along. Howdy, dear hearts, spirits, friends, and celestial brothers. All y'all that's gathered here to rejoice. This is always good to think of doing any kind of a transcription from the glorious Southland. Because the South has always been the South, and I don't give the North too much strength because I don't believe that it is actually there. I believe that it is south of Canada. Joy to the world. And I mean, them folks is all right up there. I mean, they got their own kick going, but I believe the only reason that folks live in the North, dear hearts, is because they have jobs up there. You ain't never heard of nobody retiring to the North, have you? I don't believe they get... Oh, that is a glorious blessing and a wonderful sound. I want to do this, though, because I believe in everything, and that sounds weird to say that you believe in everything, but if you believe in nothing, that's pretty vast. Yes, I mean, it's something to think about, you know, and if somebody thinks that they know the truth and somebody else don't, dear hearts, they only got half of it. See, you got to weigh them thoughts because they're weird. And I've got some that I have written down for you, and notice this sound right here.
School bells ring and children sing, it's babbas after robbers, rabbit hoppers all together then.
I don't know where that came from, don't know where with all it's going. But I know that life is good, and I love life, and I love to live it, and I believe between swinging and not swinging is what moves us. Yes, there have been those folks who have been bound in the round who would occasionally be tempted to put those down who they considered to be in the square. But, dear hearts, it's neither those in the round or the square, but the spiral. Yes, that leads toward the top of the stair. Rejoice. Love your enemies and drive them nuts. Share it with a total stranger.
Love your enemies. You're supposed to give it to your friends. Yes, dear hearts, I believe in love. I believe love is good. And I believe if there's anything bad in the world, a preacher's going to find it first. Let them have it. We'll just do these good things. Of course, I mean, I love preachers. I mean, they mean well. They got their own kick going. And somebody said, Brother Dave says, you know, say, why don't you be a preacher? You could make $1 million. Dear hearts, what would a preacher spend, you know? Way back. Well, anyhow, this is weird that we are gathered in this celestial realm and moving into another dimension. And I believe that the mind is something. When we leave the realm of dualities, that's when we commence to swing. It's neither the stroke of the pendulum as it goes to and fro, but the essence that drives it that makes us go. See? And that is known as hard sayings. And oh yes, they have been going for years. Now, you couldn't explain to somebody or let them know anything if they had never. No, if they had never thought of it, I don't think they would. I don't think the young people are thinking about what we think they're thinking about. Because if they were thinking about what we think they're thinking about, they wouldn't be wasting so much time on them hot rod engines. They'd just be going on out there and sitting under a tree and talking to it. Well, I believe women is first. I believe women is smarter than men, and the reason I believe that is because they have always possessed what we have been seeking. Now, many ages. Yes, dear hearts, companionship. And man cannot live for bread alone. He must have peanut butter. Oh, dear hearts, as we move into this celestial music of the spheres, the kind of music that has stereo sounds to it, the monaural, and all these weird sounds that's getting so popular with the multitudes and all the individuals as well. Actually, I don't believe there's no such thing as a multitude. I believe we're all individuals. Of course, I ain't knocking your belief. I mean, don't tell me about none of your doubts. I got enough doubts of my own. Tell me something you believe in. I believe in love, and when I talk about love, I don't mean the kind of love like when a 19-year-old boy kissed an 18-year-old girl. Dear hearts, that ain't love, that's emotion. But when that same 19-year-old boy kissed a 49-year-old girl, whoo, dear hearts, that's love. Oh, you've got a friend to talk to. This here is about the origin of the rock and roll, and I have always maintained there is no use to have any fear about rock and roll hurting or affecting the youth of this nation. As long as them kids are standing 12 feet apart shaking, everything's cool. Everything's fine. But it's when they play that soft, sweet, celestial music of the spheres is what makes folks want to touch one another. When we think about space and we think about folks going out there, we also think about folks coming to visit us. If we have the intelligence to get to other planets, well then surely there must be other intelligence that are trying to seek us out and say howdy to us. There was one little saucer that come winging in from an infinite, bless your heart, set down the little door swing open it, cut off its little prospective magnetic field. Out bounds a bunch of happy little spacemen about 7 inches tall, just looking under leaves and rocks and everything. One of them say, hey man, what us looking for? The other one say, little bitty women. This is the origin of rock and roll. Now, the first rock and roll artist, dear hearts, was not Elvis, not Thelonious Monk, nor Peter Gunn. The first rock and roll artist was Little David. Ain't that celestial? Little David was out in the field abiding the sheep.
And his papa drew nigh to him and he said, son, there's a thunder shower coming up. Let's get the sheep out of here. Little David said, but Papa, where will us take them? Over to Lawrence Welk's house? He said, don't bug me with no trivial. Said, I want you to take some victuals to your brothers who is doing battle with the Philadelphians. Little David say, all right, Papa. Seeing that his papa found favor in him, he done a backflip. And he say, who is going to bide with the sheep? And Papa say, I'm ill, which is Aramaic for I am. And he say, bye, Papa. And he say, bye, boy. And he say, bye, sheep. And they say, bye, bye, bye. And he departs out across the hot sands with his assortment of goodies. And he gets over to where his brothers is dug into the ground. Yes. And he say, ho, brothers. And they say, hey, Dave. Say, David, how come it is you left the sheep? And he say, cause I'd rather fight. He said, well, everybody to their own kick. He said, look, I done brought y'all something other to eat. And they said, what has you brung us? Said, us is and hungered. And he says, I've brought you some kosher charcoal broiled sow's ears, some sliced sow snouts, some black-eyed peas and okra and stewed tomatoes on light bread sandwiches, so that you have to lift and eat fast lest it fall through the crust. 4 RCs, 2 moon pies, and some after sipping, dipping, and flipping snuff. Oh, his brothers rejoiced, and they fell upon the goodies and consumed them with the gusto of a hound dog. And presently commenced to go out of it into that somnambulistic state of glorious, oblivious sleep. Asleep, reaching for the arms of Morpheus. Little David becomes sore afraid. And dear hearts, when you sore afraid, you flat scared. And he grabbed his brother and he shaked him and he rattled him, and oh, his brother rolled his eyes. That's where shake, rattle, and roll first come from. Yes, yes. And he said, brother, his brother say, huh? He said, how come y'all has done gone to sleep and leave me here to whoop up on the Philadelphians by my own self? He said, you ain't going to have to whoop up the Philadelphians. They done run a giant in on us. He said, who you kidding, boy? He said, you know there ain't no giant play with no Philadelphians. He said, he do in this game. He said, well, where he is? He said, you're going to hear him coming through the bushes any minute. He said, there he come now. Woo, woo, woo. Sound like Miami Beach late at night. Sunburn, sunburn. Giants say, I'm going to take this club, boy, and I'm going to hit you on your head so hard, you're going to hum like a 10-penny finishing nail hit with a greasy ball-peen hammer. Little David said, said, you ain't going to hurt none of me. Say, where my smooth, flat, slick river rock? And old dear hearts, he sought diligently in the roundabout thereof. And behold, he came upon a smooth, flat, slick river rock. And he reached down and he picked it up and he taken it, which is Southern for took. And he put it into this folded blue suede tennis shoe tongue, attaching 2 pieces of stage line thereunto. He commenced to wind up thusly. Went to rock and zap, hit the giant and say, ooh. So it hurt him, dear heart. And little David pounced upon him with glee and relieved him of his coin purse. Yes, one of them little old pop-open kind. Looked like a little old coin purse. And he cut out across the sand dunes, a-singing, a-flipping, a-rejoicing, a-playing on the sackbut and the salsa and the dulcimer instruments of music, and singing Love Me Tender. So you see, beloved hearts, little David was the first rock and roll artist because he taken a rock and rolled the giant. Glory!
Thank you, dear hearts. And Brother Lester, ain't nobody that good, but you finally convinced me. I would like for you to think about one thing. Now do that. You see, the mind is beautiful. And if we study it in the right light, how could you find any darkness? Some folks don't like the darkness because it bugs them. But some folks like the light because they want the light. And what sustains the two concepts of dark and light is what we're seeking. Joy to the world. Rejoice. Oh, let's get this one in here on a real good, strong thought. If you love the South, say glory. That's not true. Man, I don't care what anybody else has got. Everybody can have their own thing. That's mine. I mean, I believe the earth is a southern planet. Yeah, I mean, that don't give them other cats no strength. Well, dear hearts, this is a work of literature written by the bard of Avon on Stratford, Georgia. Willie the Half-Sprung Shakespeare. And all of you have heard the works of Shakespeare, not only the intellectuals or the learned multitudes, but also the 5% that don't think. See, I believe in giving folks the edge. That's weird, ain't it? And just to prove it, here's a Shakespeare quotation. Between your eyes, your beauty lies. You're thinking of the country version. This is the true story of Julius Caesar if it were presented by the down-home players. Now the mighty Caesar have returned from a quail hunting trip down in South Carolina. And on his arm is Mark Antony, played in the picture by Marlon Brando. And Mark Antony speaks to the mighty Caesar in his fluent Roman-Italian voice, and he say, "Hey, Julius." And Julius say, "Huh?" He say, "Hey, Julius, like what you want around you, man?" And Julius say, "Well, let me have about me them fat, sleek-headed cats. Say that sleeps all the time and eats all the time and don't never think about nuts." He say at no time, he said, "Uh-huh." He say, "Julius, you a mess." He said, "Uh-huh." About that time, Mark say, "Hark." "Nay, hark," spake Mark. He said, "Durst." Oh, receive the spirit of that word, dear hearts. Durst, D-U-R-S-T. Durst thou not perceive some kind of audible vibration emanating from behind yon potted plant? Says, "Uh-huh." Said, "Indubitably I does." Say, "Well, what do it sound like to you?" Say, "Well, what it sound like to me might sound different to you." Say, "Well, what do it sound like to both of us?" Say, "You generalize it." He said, "Well, what it is?" He said, "Now we getting somewhere." He said, "It's the soothsayer, and the soothsayer say." Beware the odds of March. What do he mean by that, Julius? And he say, "I doesn't know." But Julius, you just like Kennedy. You supposed to know everything. He said, "I does, but I don't know that." He said, "You is too much." About that time, he say, "Hey, Julius." And Julius say, "Huh?" Which is Latin for what? He say, "Julius, what you don't want around you?" And he say, "Oh, don't let me have nobody about me like yon Cassius, 'cause he have that lean and hungry look." And said he do not eat, now do he sleep. And he nibbles him no-dose and drinking that air wick.
And he sits in that little house away from the house and he meditates. Oh, he thinks too much. He about half smart. He said, thou hast said. And he say, bye, Julius. And he say, adios. That's Spanish for bye. Now, straight away, Cassius is approached by Brutus, the noblest Roman of them all, played in the picture by James Rommel, the Desert Mason. He say, hail, Brutus. He say, hail, yes. He say, come here, Brutus. He say, come here. He say, all right, what you got on? You mind? He say, uh-huh. He say, look, I want you to do something other to Julius. And he say, how come? He say, cause I say so. He say, well, I say so. And he say, so? Oh, he departed there running, his blue suede tennis-shod feet pounding the pavement. His sheet girded around his being. He swings upon his new swing bicycle, missed the seat. Pedals out through the streets of Rome, Georgia. With his sheet flowing in the breeze and his bicycle clip on his arm to keep the sheet out of the sprocket. Yes, he rides up the steps of the Senate Hall, in through the swinging doors. He stops, jumps off his bicycle. He kicks down the kick-up stand. No, he kicks up the kick-down stand. Kicks the bicycle over again, the door jam. There he's seen Julius. There he's seen Julius. Still sounds right. There he's seen Julius in all of his radiant glory, with this chlorophyll around his head, his arm draped over the television set, eating a locust leg, watching the Helen of Troy story. He say, hey, Julius. Well, Julius is happy to see Brutus, beloved, because they've been down to Gaul together, and that's right behind the bladder. And he's ignorant of this premeditated conspiracy to flat get him cooked up by these senatorial cats. So he say, hey.
Hey, Brutus.
Brutus say, Julius, I have something other for you. And Julius say, do? And he said, uh-huh. He said, what hast thou brung, me? And he says, nay, nay, thou hast brought thyself. Grab that, friends. Weigh it. Brutus reached to the depths of the pocket of his sheet, and he withdrew briskly a long, slim, thin switchblade pocket knife. Oh, he presses a button and the blade flies out. Picks it up and sticks it back in the handle. You see, in other words, he reinserted the blade into the source from whence it emanated before he had depressed the release mechanism. Ain't that weird? Try not to be obvious about it as he smit to Ettrick with this here knife. The cutting edge on it was honed to such fine sharpness that when he breathed upon it, it cut the little microbes into, and they screamed as they fell on each side. Eek, eek. He say, here, Julius, hold it. Because it hurt him. The mighty Caesar mortally wounded. The ego ebbing out of his crazy little mixed-up fuel pump. His massive feet tangling in Brutus's bicycle spokes. Clasping a great handful of chitterlings. He say, et tu, Brutus? And he said, no, man, I ain't et nothing. This here's a weird thought. There was this old man that lived in Miami Beach 9 months out of the year, see? And he had a home in New York City also, too, then.
And he didn't like to ride on airplanes because he was scared of them, Mr. Dillon. And when you're scared of something, you know, you might be scared of it. But he did like to hear trains and things, and he liked to ride on the trains. He even had a stereo set in his house with trains running all through it. And he had tried all of his life to get away from the tracks. Well, he had made about $3 billion, you know, I mean, good money, near about as much as Elvis. And so he had to get to New York. It was very important that he get to New York. And so he had to take a plane. And he always rode the trains. And so his old buddies went and pushed him on this plane, see? And it was a night flight there for Easter. Not Easter, but Eastern. You know what I mean, dear heart. And the plane takes off. Of course, this is against this little man's will. He don't want to go on this plane, you understand. And it gets aloft, and it's a night flight. And he sees this fire coming out this engine there. And he sees that fire against that aluminum. He knows something about welding. He says, oh, this fire's going to eat a hole in this wing. It's going to fall off. Scared, panicked it. I mean, when you panicked, it friends you out of it. And he really gets worried, and it goes, the engine's cough. And he don't know what to do, so he starts hitting all them weird chants, you know, that he's been taught in the shoe. Then he realizes that he's over north in South Carolina, and he ain't going to get a hearing. So he goes right to the deity at hand, and he says, Lord, says, please help me. Just get this plane down on the ground safely in New York City, and says, I'll give you half everything I own. The plane just levels out, smooths on in, comes on in, and sets down. He gets off the plane. He's just as happy as he can be, beaming, smiling like unto a possum. Here comes this preacher right behind him. Says, oh, my good man, I heard what you said on that airplane. Bless your heart, I heard you say you're going to give half everything you own to the Lord. I know you're going to start right now. The little man said, no, I made a better deal. He said, you what? He said, yes. I told him if I ever got back on another one, he could have it all. Ain't that weird? Joy to the world. This is one that's weird now, and this is a short one, and then y'all can have something other to drink and dance with one another and rejoice. And this is about little David, too. And little David was sitting beneath the shade of the Great Pyramid at high noon, drinking yak milk and eating dates. And about that time, here come an Egyptian out across the hot burning sands in his chariot, with 4 steeds abreast, pulling it like unto a parallel circuit in a TV set. And he spake to them steeds, saying, which is Aramaic for whoa, baby. They perceive this audible vibration and proceed to retard their pace. Stop. He jumps out of the chariot and runs over to where little David's sitting beneath the shade of the Great Pyramid at high noon, playing on his little guitar. Ching, 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 ching. He say on the 33 and the 3rd RPM speed on the 78 RPM record player like, little David say, man, put that on the right speed so I can understand what you're putting down, man, because you're tearing up my head with that fast jive. He say, oh, all right, little David, what you doing, boy? Said, I'm playing on my guitar. Ching, 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 ching. Said, but man, you playing some terrible chords on that guitar. Says, you know, says, all those audible vibrations are retained by the germanium diodes of the earth. By the what? Show them little transistors in the ground. You know, when them archaeologists, that's them cats that dig the ground the most. When they come over here and they dig down there and they hook a headset on them transistors, they're going to hear all them bad audible sounds. It's going to go tough for us. Little David said, don't bug me, man. I know what I'm doing. Ching, 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 ching. Said, listen, man. Says, you ain't going to never make it on TV. Said, I've seen Les Paul and Elvis and Chet Atkins. Said they all moved their fingers up and down the fretboard like this. Little David said, don't bug me, man. He said, but you only got your fingers in one position. He said, yeah, man, I know it. Said, them other cats is searching for it, but I flat got it. Isn't that a weird scene? Well, I'll tell you what. There was this general and this colonel, and they was getting ready. Not Colonel Parker, this is another colonel. And this general and this colonel was out there, and they was in this spaceship in Huntsville, Alabama, you know. and they was thinking about it, contemplating space. And so the general say, hey, Colonel, he say, huh? See, there's unlimited opportunity in the Air Force. He say, is you ready to blast off? He say, I'm exceedingly ill. He say, well, can you count from 10 to 0 backwards? And he said, not none of me, man, I'm specialized. He say, but I can work it out on the slide rule. He say, well, get on it and go. He say, all right, zip, zip, blip, ching. Said, as you got it? He said, uh-huh. He say, hit the detonator. He say, all right. Bap! It take off 896 billion light years per second. Yes, dear hearts, you realize that's traveling? I mean, that outdrag a Chevrolet. Done gone up through the asteroids, the planetoids, and the adenoids. Double clutch slowly. Boom, boom, boom.